Hello. First of all, welcome to Power Hour 2. It's been quite a bit of a time since the last get-together that we had after kind of everything with Omicron over Christmas period. So it's great to see everyone back together and everyone actually willing to be able to kind of come out and have a bit of a pint and some pizza. But there is a little bit of formality that we're going to go through as well, so it's not all about the pizza and the beer. We've got some great speakers today, so we're going to start off with our very own Andy Lowdon from 43 Clicks North, move on to Calvin from Drug Animal, and then we've got Jonathan Leaf sending us home as well today as well. So really good speaking lineup for us today. So we're going to kick it straight off. If you welcome Andy Lowdon to the stage, we're going to talk about a digital strategy framework.
Thank you. You made that sound really exciting. So what I'm going to bore you with a little bit here is kind of just talking about putting a framework and providing you with the opportunity of a framework around giving you a reason and helping you get a bit more buy-in into digital marketing and being able to make people understand more what we're trying to do and why, and ultimately giving us something that gives the team something to buy into over the long term. Lovely picture. That's the lockdown one. So my experience, I've been working mainly in client service over my career in the UK, over in Australia, worked with clients all over the world, and that's given me huge exposure to a complete different range of industries, sectors, challenges that you get with clients, and working with clients from a client service point of view, that's what sort of triggered my interest in the strategy side. Mainly because a lot of the time when you work from a client service point of view, working with clients, it's about what's next, what's to come. And they might see what you're doing and think, we need more, we need to move quicker. Whereas actually, that's all driven by a lack of strategy. When you have a strategy in place, you have that vision. You have something that people can see what you're actually trying to do. And you know what? At that point, it's not about the volume of activity, but it's the impact that those actions and the overall approach has for you and the business. So just to start off really and talk about, you can get good strategy, you can get bad strategy, and this comes from a book by a guy called Richard Rummel, which is, I think it's from like the 80s or 90s, but it's still completely relevant to marketing now, even though digital marketing wasn't around at the time when the book was written. And a good strategy is something which looks at the challenges that you will face, and that's something that a lot of businesses that I've worked with do not look at first. They're always looking at the second part of this, which is the approach, the action plan. What do we do? How do we get there? How do we do it quicker? Or actually, you need the understanding of what's going to stop you from getting there to be able to then say, this is what we need to do. And it's something that with digital marketing is a huge, huge challenge, because with digital marketing, some of the benefits and the barriers to entry that make it easier for business to get into are also really hindering the ability for you to put in place a good strategy. And what I mean by that is anyone could set up a PPC campaign now, we could run some Facebook ads, anyone could be a marketer today. Give me a laptop, give me an internet connection, off you go. What that does then is it drops the quality of the work and also the measurability. Great, we can look at it from a performance marketing point of view. I put this money in, I get this money out. But what that does is, it doesn't give you time for your strategy to breathe. It doesn't give your approach the time to really develop, for you to see what works, what doesn't. What actually happens is, you put something live, and a lot of the time, people will look at it and go, this isn't getting the result that I'm after. Turn it off, get me another 10 ads live. We need something else that will work. But actually what happens with marketing is, you give it that time, you actually see the benefits coming out of it, you start to optimize as you go along, rather than just killing activity, moving on to the next fad. And it's something that you see especially with new technologies that come out. Everyone will talk about TikTok now. Why? Because people are there. That's not a strong enough reason for why you go out and do it. And that's where what we want to do actually is look at what is the right approach and how can we put an approach in place that gives you the time to develop a good strategy and to be able to show what's working, what isn't, and how you can take that forward. And if you don't actually look at what those obstacles are, and you're not going to have that strategy in place, And a lot of the time, people don't look at what those obstacles are, because putting a strategy in place, it can be quite uncomfortable. You can find out, actually, messages that you don't want to hear. People don't like your product. You don't have the budgets to go into certain channels. It's not going to work in the way that you want or at the speed that you want. I mean, how many times has someone come to you and said, here's our KPI, here's the target, here's the revenue that we need to hit this year? And a lot of the time you can look at it and go, it's not going to happen. If you don't have enough budget to do that, it's just a list of things that people want you to do. We want to do PPC, we want to do Facebook, we want to do email, but there's no why behind it, or no reason behind that is right, or that's why we should go and do that. Like, I'll give you an example. I've had a client in the past, they gave me a KPI, gave me a revenue target. We looked at it and went, you don't even have the stock to deliver that. How can that be your target? And yeah, we know, but that's got to be our target, because that's what our board have told us. Having an actual strategy will allow you to say, well, there is a red flag, there's a big obstacle. We now need you, if you want us to go after that target, you now need to go out and find the stock to give us an opportunity to do that. If you can't do that, you need to then revisit what you're actually trying to achieve. So with a strategy, there's 3 key parts to this. You need to have that diagnosis in place, which is understanding what's going on in the market, understanding what's happening with your business, who you're relevant to, who your customers are, who your potential customers are. Then you have the guiding policy, which guiding policy isn't a KPI. It's not a metric to hit. It's the approach of how you're going to go about getting there. And then you have your action plan. A lot of digital marketing is just an action plan. Let's write some more blog posts. Let's go after these keywords. Let's do some CRO. It's just a list of stuff to do. There's no why behind it. That's why you need the diagnosis and you need that guiding policy first, to be able to understand what your action plan actually needs to be. So what is a diagnosis? Diagnosis is where you can define what your challenge actually is. Who are the customers that you're trying to actually get in front of? It gives you that chance to actually say, this is what our business looks like, these are our stakeholders, this is what the business is trying to achieve, and then it allows you to then look at how you're going to get there. What's the current position that your business is in? Who are your current customers? Are they the right customers? What do your consumers actually want, and are you providing them with what is right for them? Give you some examples of how this diagnosis can work. We had a client who, their business had been falling away for a couple of years. They had been the top in their industry. As a result of that, they'd taken their eye off the ball. Started investing a bit less. And as a result of that, new competitors came to the market, started taking the market share. And when they spoke to us, they said, look, we don't believe that digital is a profitable channel or a profitable opportunity for us to go into anymore. We're looking, do we need to pull our business back out of this? So we went away, we did a bit of analysis. The first place we actually looked at was quite simply Google Trends. And they'd been so closely aligned to a core industry that had been there for 10, 20 years, so the time their business had been in market. And then when you overlaid that with their revenue levels, it was literally symmetry that you could see as the overall market had been seeing less interest because it wasn't as popular anymore. It wasn't the cool market to be in. Their revenue dropped off at exactly the same rate. So what that allowed us to say to them is, you need to reposition as a business. You move out of that market or reduce your reliance on that market and look at the new niche interests that are coming into your overall category. Start to target those. You'll then find where your new customers are, where the growth opportunities are. Another way of this as well, go B2B. Another client where working with sales and marketing can be a nightmare. Sales teams say the leads from marketing rubbish. Marketing will say the sales team aren't very good at closing deals. So working with a sales team, they said, we need more leads from you. And we need them to be from businesses with 2,000 employees, 5 million revenue that we bring in these specific industries. Okay, we went away and looked at it, went back into their data, and what we found was, of all of the leads that they had from businesses of that size over the last 5 years, the sales team hadn't closed any. So whilst we were giving them what they wanted, maybe not the level that we wanted, they couldn't close them. The deals took too long as well. Whereas what we saw was if we actually bring that employee size down to the 500 to 1,000, they closed $4 million in revenue at a much quicker rate as well. So that allows us to say to them, actually, your ideal customer isn't who you think your ideal customer is. Yes, you want the big hitters, you want the Coca-Colas of this world. Get Coca-Cola to buy your product is quite hard. Bring it down to businesses who may not have got your product yet or are in your industry. It's a lot easier to close them, and that just then allowed us to reposition it, and at the same time then look at how they closed the leads at different times, and then we could move away from hero metrics of how many leads we send them to then say, actually, we can now send you less leads because we know that you're going to be more likely to actually close these leads because they're better quality and more relevant for you as a business. So the key takeaway with the diagnosis, use this to challenge your thinking. We all have biases. We all have an idea when we start looking at a project of, this is what I believe we need to do. Use this research phase as an opportunity to prove yourself or disprove as well, to then go, actually, the data is showing me this is the right approach for us, this is the right path for us to go down. And then once you've done the diagnosis, you start to look at your guiding policy. And your guiding policy is, we've identified those obstacles. How do we now look at overcoming them? What do we need to do to get to where we want to as a business? So you found out what these obstacles are. Let's look at where you have an advantage. If all your competitors are in PPC, doing PPC isn't an advantage for you. You're all doing the same stuff. How are you going to do better than them? Or is there something else that you could be doing that your competitors aren't that gives you that advantage? And then use this to really bring your team together. Channel your team and your actions in one direction. All the teams, you might have SEOs, PPCs, paid social content, copywriters, designers, use them and combine their skills to go forward in a certain direction rather than doing a bit of this, bit of that, bit of the other. Because you're going to start pulling in different directions. Point everyone in the same direction. You talk about the flywheel. This is really about bringing momentum because you're all working for a combined goal where everyone knows what you're trying to achieve and why. And I saw an article yesterday. Do we have any Hull KR fans here? 2. Okay, one works for them and one sponsors them. So I was reading an article with Tony Smith, the Hull KR coach, yesterday about his guiding policy, and he probably didn't realise it fits in with his strategic framework, and it was about how he builds his team. Now, if you look at all the teams in Super League, what they do is you've got to find the right players for your team. And he said, yeah, we spend a lot of money on our starting team, but the problem with rugby league is you get injuries. And what happens next is you then look at your reserve grade, you look at your academy to bring those players in. And he said, they're probably not the next best players for us to actually play because they're not ready. They haven't played at the level to be able to step in. So his approach and his policy is look at the championship, so the level down from Super League, and find the best players in that league who are playing open age rugby, very competitive against some great players. They'll come in cheaper than your starting squad, but bring them in to fill out some of the spots within your team. And then what that does is you can then, by putting them in a full-time environment, make them better and develop those players, so then when you do get those injuries, there isn't as big a drop-off in terms of the quality of your product and your team for when those injuries do occur. So his overall policy is find better players than what is available, so your drop-off isn't as big as what you would normally see. Now he knows that he may not be able to track the top players because OKR haven't had the long-term success. There may not be a Leeds, there may not be a St Helens or Wigan. So this is how he's looking for that competitive advantage against everyone else in the league. And it's about also, when you look at when you've got your plan in place with your guiding policy, what do you believe if you put these actions in place? What does that make happen? What's going to come off the back of this? Hypothesize. If we do X, we believe Y will happen. And then if that's right and you believe that that's the way you need to go, double down on it. Push your team in that direction and really go for it. And then once you've got that, it's about the action plan. So this is the part where digital marketers will spend probably 95% of the time. But an action plan without diagnosis and a guiding policy, it's just a list of tasks that you think you need to do, but you've got no research behind it. So what you want to do is make sure the actions that you have are aligned with what strategically you're trying to achieve as a business. Not strategically what you're trying to do from a marketing point of view, but what's going to help achieve your business goals. What are those levers that you have? What can you pull within your team? How can you combine those team members together? The agencies that you might work with, they've got different skill sets. Don't keep them in silos. Bring everyone together and increase that collaboration between them as well. And if you do that, what you get then is you get this complementary approach. You get the ability for people to work together quicker, better, more impactful for you as well. And the action plan doesn't need to be war and peace. It just needs to be an indication of what you believe you need to do. Action should get ticked off and then replaced once you see the impact of them and give them time to bear fruit. Then you look at, okay, based on that happening, this is where we need to go next. And that then gives you the opportunity to stick it down on one page. If you need to do 40, 50 pages or 50 slides for a strategy, people will see that once and forget about it. You need to be able to get it down on one page. So what you do here is, because you've done your diagnosis, you're able to put your guiding policy in place. An example here is we want to increase profitability by reducing our reliance on sales promotions, because that is straight away we're taking a 50% cut. And then we want to focus on those growing niche markets that are coming through in our industry, because then that gives us the opportunity to, firstly, we're going to stop the bleed. And then secondly, we're identifying how we're going to grow. Then you have your strategic pillars, your strategic goals in there, and these will stay constant. These are what you believe you need to achieve for your guiding policy. And then within there, you have your specific actions that will then build up into those strategic pillars that will help you to achieve those. These are what will change over time. Tick them off, see the impact of it, what do we need to do next? And then you make sure all the action that you have going on fits within one of these pillars, because if it doesn't, you shouldn't be doing it. And just to finish off from there, strategy, especially the start of it, the diagnosis piece, it's not easy, it's a lot of work, it's not flashy, but it's impactful. And it allows you the opportunity to say, this is what is important to our business. This is what will align with our business goals and what people in our business want to achieve. And that then allows you to focus on the objective, what will help you to achieve the objectives that everyone in your business has. And ultimately, you will get that wider buy-in from people within the team, but also further up in your business and with clients as well. Thank you.